Louisiana is a state of ghosts, jazz, and secrets. But the biggest secret isn't buried in a crypt in New Orleans or hidden in the bayou. It is the sheer, quiet magnitude of black wealth that has existed here for centuries. We aren't just talking about rappers who bought a mansion. We are talking about families who owned land before the Civil War, dynasties that survived Jim Crow by building their own banks, and entrepreneurs who turned gumbo and gravel into multi-million-dollar empires. Stick around, because the family at number 1 didn't just beat the odds. They bought the game, sold it back to the system, and built a tank to protect the receipt. Number 10, the Chase family. We begin our journey in the heart of Trim, with a family whose wealth cannot be measured merely in dollars, but in the sheer weight of their cultural and political influence. The Chase family, led for decades by the late legendary Leah Chase, owns more than a restaurant. They own a command center. To understand the wealth of the Chase family, you have to understand the currency of the civil rights era. Dookie Chase's restaurant, established in 1941, wasn't just a place to get gumbo. It became the bank, the boardroom, and the bunker for the movement. In the 1960s, it was illegal for white and black people to mix in public. But inside the walls of Dookie Chase's, specifically in the upstairs meeting room, the laws of the Jim Crow South were suspended. When black leaders like Thurgood Marshall and Martin Luther King Jr. came to New Orleans, they didn't eat in white-owned establishments. They ate at Dookie's. They planned protests over fried chicken and signed checks that fueled the movement. The Freedom Riders organized here. The NAACP strategized here. The Chase family subsidized the revolution by feeding the revolutionaries, often for free, while banking the social capital that would later make them untouchable. Economically, the Chase family represents the resilience of New Orleans' black middle class. While the net worth of a restaurant dynasty might seem modest compared to tech moguls, their asset is access. Presidents from George W. Bush to Barack Obama have sat in their dining room, seeking endorsement and authentic connection to the black community. This is relationship capital at its highest valuation. The family, now led by the younger generation including Edgar Duke Chase IV, has expanded into airport concessions and catering, modernizing the brand while protecting the legacy. This expansion into the Louis Armstrong New Orleans International Airport was a strategic masterstroke, taking a local heritage brand and placing it in front of millions of international travelers annually. But their true wealth lies in their survival. When Hurricane Katrina devastated New Orleans in 2005, the restaurant was submerged in feet of water. Developers circled the Trem neighborhood like sharks, looking to buy out distressed black owners to gentrify the area. The Chases refused. They rebuilt after Hurricane Katrina, refusing to sell their land. The Chase family proves that in Louisiana, the most valuable real estate is the ground you refuse to leave. They are the gatekeepers of Creole culture, and in a city that sells culture to the world, the Chases control the premium product. Number 9, the Marsalis family. If the Chases feed the body of New Orleans, the Marsalis family owns its soul. In a city defined by music, this family is the royal court. The patriarch, the late Ellis Marsalis Jr., was a jazz pianist and educator who didn't just raise children, he raised a conglomerate of talent that has dominated the global music industry for 40 years. This is not just about playing instruments. This is about the monetization of high art. We are talking about Wynton Marsalis, the artistic director of jazz at Lincoln Center in New York. This role grants him immense institutional power and financial weight. He manages an annual budget exceeding $50 million and oversees one of the most prestigious cultural real estate holdings in Manhattan. Wynton was the first jazz musician to win the Pulitzer Prize for Music, elevating the genre to the same intellectual tax bracket as classical music. Then there is Branford Marsalis, a Grammy-winning saxophonist and bandleader who famously led the Tonight Show band, securing network television money in an era when that meant millions. Delfeayo and Jason Marsalis round out a dynasty that has collected enough Grammys to fill a warehouse. Financially, the Marsalis family represents the pinnacle of intellectual capital. They didn't just play music, they institutionalized it. Their wealth comes from touring, publishing rights, educational institutions, and brand partnerships that span the globe. But unlike many entertainers who leave their hometowns and never look back, the Marsalis family leveraged their global fame to bring investment back to the neighborhoods that raised them. Their impact on Louisiana is physical. The Ellis Marsalis Center for Music in the 9th Ward is a multi-million-dollar facility. It serves as a monument to their father and a training ground for the next generation. This center was the anchor of the Musicians' Village, a Habitat for Humanity project that built homes for musicians who lost everything in Katrina. This is how you convert fame into infrastructure. In the hierarchy of Louisiana wealth, the Marsalis family proves that mastery of a craft, when executed at the highest level, creates a brand that outlasts any single business cycle. They turned jazz from a club gig into a global institution. Number 8. The Charbonnet family. In New Orleans, death is not just an end. It is a business, a parade, and a ceremony. And the people who control that ceremony hold a unique and powerful position in the social order. Enter the Charbonnet family, the proprietors of Charbonnet La Baglapian Funeral Home in Trem. This is old money in the truest sense. The funeral home was founded in 1883. Let that sink in. This Black-owned business has been operating for over 140 years, surviving Reconstruction, Jim Crow, the Great Depression, and Hurricane Katrina. To understand the wealth of the Black funeral director, you must look at history. During segregation, white banks would not lend to Black people, and white insurance companies would not insure them. The funeral director was often the only person in the community with significant liquid cash flow and the ability to navigate bureaucracy. They became the de facto bankers and community leaders. The Charbonnet family represents generational stability. Their wealth is built on real estate and the unshakable trust of the community. They handle the funerals for the city's elite, the musicians, and the cultural icons. When a jazz funeral rolls through the streets of Trem with horse-drawn carriages and brass bands, it is often the Charbonnets orchestrating the spectacle. These funerals are not simple affairs. They are massive logistical events involving permits, bands, carriages, and receptions. The economics of a high-end New Orleans funeral can rival that of a wedding, and the Charbonnets have held the contract on dignity for nearly a century and a half. This isn't flashy wealth. You won't see them flexing on Instagram. But their historic building on St. Philip Street is a fortress of Black ownership in a rapidly gentrifying neighborhood. They own the land, the history, and the process of transition. In a state that reveres ancestry, the Charbonnets are the guardians of the ancestors, and that is a position of quiet, unassailable power. Number 7. The McKenna family. Information is power, and in New Orleans, the McKenna family controls the narrative. Dr. Dwight McKenna and his wife, Beverly Stanton McKenna, are a power couple who have built a diversified portfolio that bridges medicine, media, and history. Dr. McKenna is a prominent physician and former coroner, but the family's true influence comes from the New Orleans Tribune. Founded in 1985, it is one of the most respected Black-owned newspapers in the country. But here is the flex. They didn't just start a paper, they revived the name of the first Black daily newspaper in America, originally published in 1864. They saw themselves as the continuation of a lineage of Black resistance. Owning a media outlet gives the McKenna family a distinct type of leverage. They can highlight issues that the mainstream press ignores, champion Black businesses, and hold local politicians accountable. This media capital translates into political influence that few other families possess. But their wealth is also tangible and visible. They own substantial real estate in New Orleans, including Le Musée de FPC, the Museum of the Free People of Color. This is a massive flex of cultural equity. They bought a mansion on Esplanade Avenue, historically a street for the white elite, and filled it with art, documents, and history that the mainstream museums ignored. The collection inside is priceless, containing original manumission papers, passports of free people of color from the 1800s, and rare artwork. By privately owning this history, they ensure it cannot be erased or rewritten. The McKennas represent the intersection of professional excellence and community advocacy. By controlling the media, the Tribune, and the history, the museum, they ensure that the story of Black wealth in Louisiana is told by the people who built it. They are the intellectual guardians of the city, sitting on a portfolio of assets that preserve the past while generating income for the future. Number 6. The Coxum family. Now we move from old world influence to modern corporate dominance. If you drive through New Orleans, there is a good chance you are driving through the territory of Henry L. Coxum. Jr. Henry Coxum is not just a franchise owner, he is a mogul. As the head of Celestin Enterprises, he owns and operates a massive network of McDonald's restaurants across the region. But don't let the word franchise fool you. In the world of business, owning high-volume McDonald's locations in a major tourist city is akin to owning a gold mine. The barrier to entry for a McDonald's franchise is incredibly high, requiring significant liquid capital. Coaxum's wealth is built on operational scale. He started as a manager trainee in 1984 and bought his first store in 2002. Today, his organization employs hundreds of people and generates tens of millions in annual revenue. This is the power of systems. Coaxum doesn't have to invent a product. He executes a globally proven system with local precision. His power extends beyond the drive-thru. He sits on the boards of the city's most powerful institutions, influencing economic development and policy. He is a key player in the Business Council of New Orleans, a room where the city's economic future is often decided. When Hurricane Katrina destroyed his restaurants, Coaxum didn't retreat. He rebuilt, often opening his doors before the city had fully recovered to provide food and Wi-Fi to residents and relief workers. His flagship location on Canal Street is a symbol of Black corporate resilience. The Coaxum family proves that the path to extreme wealth often lies in taking a global system, like McDonald's, and executing it with such precision that you become a pillar of the local economy. He turned the Hamburger University training into a local economic empire. This is a perfect moment to talk about strategy. Henry Coaxum didn't invent the hamburger. He mastered the system of selling it. If you want to understand the franchise models and business systems that build this kind of predictable, scalable wealth, I've pinned a list of essential business strategy books and biographies right here on the screen. Click View Products to study the blueprints these moguls used. Number 5. The Henry Family. There are people who build buildings, and then there are people who decide where the buildings go. Troy Henry and his family fall into the second category. As the founder of Henry Consulting, Troy Henry is perhaps the most influential Black business strategist in Louisiana. This is technocratic wealth. Henry Consulting is a management firm that handles the heavy lifting for multi-million and billion-dollar projects. We are talking about the kind of deals that reshape skylines. Troy Henry has a background in engineering and corporate management at Fortune 500 companies like IBM and Enron before the crash, and he brought that high-level expertise back to New Orleans. His firm has been involved in massive undertakings, including the management of the Bayou District New Orleans and the redevelopment of the World Trade Center New Orleans. These are complex, high-stakes public-private partnerships that require a mastery of engineering, finance, and politics. But the Henry family doesn't just earn fees, they own equity. They have stakes in real estate, fuel distribution, and development ventures. For example, they were key in the Bayou Sterling investments, aimed at bringing high-quality grocery retail to underserved neighborhoods. This is a strategy of doing good while doing well. What makes the Henry family so powerful is their ability to navigate the complex world of government contracts and private equity. They are the bridge between City Hall and Wall Street. When a new bridge needs to be built or a historic site redeveloped, the Henrys are often the ones drafting the blueprint and counting the zeros. They represent the modern suit-and-tie authority of Black Louisiana wealth. While others are the face of the brand, the Henry family provides the structural engineering of the economy itself. Number 4. The Williams brothers. Now, we leave the boardrooms and head to the block, specifically the Magnolia Projects, where two brothers turned a modest investment into a billion-dollar legacy. Brian "Birdman" Williams and Ronald "Slim" Williams are not just rappers. They are arguably the most successful record executives in hip-hop history. This is liquid wealth on a scale that is hard to comprehend. The Williams brothers revolutionized the music business with a specific piece of paper, the 1998 distribution deal with Universal Records. At a time when artists were signing away their rights for a quick advance, Birdman and Slim negotiated a deal that gave them a $30 million advance and, crucially, allowed them to keep 85% of their royalties. They kept their masters. They kept their publishing. They kept the majority of their royalties. No one had ever done that before. Because of that deal, when Juvenile, Lil Wayne, Drake, and Nicki Minaj sold hundreds of millions of records, the bulk of the profit went straight to New Orleans. They didn't just work for the label, they were the label. Birdman's net worth has been estimated as high as $150 million, but the combined family wealth generated by Cash Money Records over the last 30 years likely exceeds $500 million in gross revenue. They introduced the term bling bling to the Oxford English Dictionary, but their spending wasn't just for show. It was marketing. The cars, the jewelry, the excess. It created a lifestyle brand that sold millions of albums. The Williams brothers live loud. We've seen the Bugattis, the diamond teeth, and the mansions. But look closer. Slim Williams, the quieter brother, is known for his sharp business acumen and investment strategies. They bought their way out of one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in America by treating rap music not as art, but as a high-volume manufacturing business. They utilized a rapid release strategy, flooding the market with albums to ensure they dominated the charts. They are the Rockefellers of the rhythm, proving that you don't need a degree to out-negotiate the biggest corporations in the world. Number 3. The McDonald Family. While the Williams brothers were making millions, the McDonald family was storing it. Alden McDonald is the CEO of Liberty Bank, and his family represents the financial backbone of Black Louisiana. Founded in 1972, Liberty Bank is one of the largest Black-owned banks in the United States, with assets exceeding $1 billion. Alden McDonald has led the institution for over 50 years, a tenure that is almost unheard of in the banking world. His son, Todd McDonald, is now taking the reins, ensuring the dynasty continues. This is institutional wealth. Liberty Bank isn't just a place to put money, it is a tool for community survival. For decades, Black entrepreneurs in the South struggled to get loans from mainstream banks. Liberty Bank filled that void, financing thousands of first-time homeowners and small business owners. When Hurricane Katrina hit, Liberty Bank was underwater, literally. Their headquarters and data centers were flooded. Most small banks would have folded. The McDonalds didn't. They operated out of trailers, fought for federal assistance, and not only saved the bank but expanded it. They went on an acquisition spree, buying other banks in Kansas City, Detroit, and Jackson, Mississippi. The McDonald family controls the flow of capital. They decide who gets the mortgage, who gets the small business loan, and which projects get funded. By expanding regionally, they have diversified their risk and increased their power base. They live in the exclusive enclaves of New Orleans East and Pontchartrain Park, quietly wielding more power than any politician. In a capitalist society, the banker is king, and the McDonalds wear the crown in Louisiana. They proved that Black wealth doesn't just have to be about entertainment or sports. It can be about holding the keys to the vault. Number 2. The Miller Family. If cash money negotiated the best deal, Percy Master P. Miller built the best tank. The Miller family is the ultimate example of a self-made dynasty that diversified faster and harder than anyone else. Master P didn't just sell records, he sold an economy. His origin story is legendary, with a $10,000 settlement check from a malpractice suit related to his grandfather's death. He opened a record store in Richmond, California, before bringing the operation back to New Orleans. He started No Limit Records with a guerrilla marketing strategy, selling tapes out of the trunk of his car and bypassing the traditional gatekeepers. But he didn't stop at music. He launched No Limit Films, a clothing line, a sports management agency, a toy company, and even a phone sex line at one point. He understood vertical integration before he knew what the words meant. By manufacturing the product, controlling the distribution, and owning the marketing channels, he kept nearly every dollar generated. His net worth has been estimated between $200 million and $250 million. But the true wealth is in the family tree. He raised his son, Romeo Miller, to be a mogul from childhood. Romeo starred in his own show, played basketball at USC, and now runs multiple businesses alongside his father, from luxury sneakers to food brands like Rap Snacks. The Millers are expansionist wealth. They never settle. Master P famously negotiated a deal to play in the NBA preseason for the Charlotte Hornets and Toronto Raptors, not because he needed the money, but to market his brand. He even tried to buy a wrestling league, WCW. They recently launched a line of grocery products to disrupt the food industry. They represent the hustle ethos of Louisiana refined into a corporate strategy. They don't just want to be rich, they want to own the shelf space, the screen, and the block. Number 1. The Barthélemy Morial Political and Business Dynasty. Wait, let's pivot. If we are strictly talking about the richest Black family in terms of liquid net worth and global brand visibility, the title belongs to the Miller family. But if we are talking about the richest in terms of controlling the state of Louisiana, we must acknowledge the Morial family. Ernest Dutch Morial was the first Black mayor of New Orleans. His son, Mark Morial, was also mayor and is now the CEO of the National Urban League. While they are public servants, the access and influence this family commands is priceless. They shaped the policies that allowed many of the other families on this list to thrive. However, for the purpose of proven financial assets and business empire, we are giving the number 1 spot to the Miller family. Why? Because Percy Miller broke the ceiling. He proved that a black family from the Calliope projects could generate $400 million in revenue in a single year, 1998, and retain ownership of it all. He created a blueprint that allowed his children to be born into wealth, educated in business, and positioned to expand the empire. The Miller family holdings include real estate across Louisiana and California, a food empire, Uncle P's, technology investments, and an endless stream of intellectual property royalties. Master P is not just a rapper. He is the Louisiana version of a tech founder who exited with billions. He is the bridge between the poverty of the past and the infinite possibility of the future. He turned a tank into a trust fund, and that is why the Millers sit at the top of this list. From the kitchens of Dookie Chase to the boardrooms of Liberty Bank and the sound stages of No Limit, black families in Louisiana have built a fortress of wealth that defies hurricanes, history, and gravity. They didn't just survive, they conquered. Which of these Louisiana dynasties impressed you the most? Was it the resilience of the Chase family or the sheer business genius of Master P? Let us know in the comments below. Subscribe to Black Status for more deep dives into the world of hidden wealth. I'll see you in the next one.